Like with any high school in the world, the Hero School UA had issues to when it came to students creating certain groups, which was inevitable. However, whenever someone didn't fit quite in any group, this meant that they became a friendless loser. At least, this was what your own brain tried to make you think. In reality, you had probably more friends than you thought. It were just people you disliked. Being a loser, however, meant that you could spend your lunch breaks alone. You were a second year, on the way of repeating your grade. Not due to your failing in your education, but because of a long time absence. This was thanks to a wound you received during your professional hero training. A spinal injury that made you unable to walk and attend school. This was followed by long, tedious, and painful therapy sessions. This, however, only cemented your loser status, upgrading from that weird second year to that weird second year who has to be held down a grade due to her incompetence as a hero. Or at least, that's what your teachers said. The only light at the end of this tunnel was that Principal Nezu himself assured you that everything would be fine and you'd be joining the current first years in just a few months when they started their second year. Right now you were trotting through the cafeteria. No one was offering you a seat. However, in a dark corner of the large hall, you somehow managed to squeeze into an empty space. By now your food was half cold and you didn't really have an appetite. Meanwhile, a few seats away from you, two boys started talking about you. "Bro, that's the upperclassman. It's gonna be joining us next year," said a blond boy to his friend, who instinctively leaned to the side to look where the other was pointing. "Good. I love this school so many hot babes." The blonde grinned at the purple gremlin. "I mean, we have a chance." "What do you mean?" The blonde shrugged with a smug expression. "Well, she doesn't know you're a creepy pervert." His friend gasped. "And she doesn't know that you're completely and utterly inept." The blonde sighed. "Not so loud. Honestly, that's not even the game I want to play." "So, what game do you want to play?" He grinned. "Just follow my lead." The two boys approached you with dumb smiles. "Hey," said the blonde. You gave him a glance. They were first years. You had seen them in class when Nezu explained your situation to Class 1A. "Mind if we sit?" You didn't answer. "Dude, she's blowing off," muttered the purple boy next to him. "Blowing what?" You said dryly. Out of the corner of your eye you saw that the small one opened his mouth, only to have his foot quickly stepped on by the other. He yelped, but otherwise remained quiet. "Well, since you didn't say no..." Without another word from you, the two sat down in front of you. "This is Mineta." "Hey," said the boy with a cartoonishly deep tone. "And I'm Denki. Denki Kaminari." "Right," was the only reply. The two looked at each other for a moment. "Crap," thought Kaminari. "We are losing her." "So," said Mineta, taking the wheel, "you are the senpai that will join our class next year." Your eyes stared daggers into his face. Quickly, Kaminari leaned over, pressing a hand on the gremlin's mouth. "We just wanted to know more about you, upperclassman." You leaned back, crossing your arms. "Fine," you scoffed. "Hero name? Joy. Quirk, we happy few." You sighed. You hated your power. Through a small claw, you placed the back of your hand on the table, revealing a slit out of which a tiny claw shot out from your wrist. "I can inject a poison that will make the victim feel unimaginable pleasure. It's addictive, so a bit dangerous. Denki furrowed his brows. That's powerful, he said. You rolled your eyes. If you say so. People who are feeling the pleasure usually drop all their defense, or even pass out, but occasionally they can control themselves, and that's when they become even more dangerous. Can I take a hit? Said Mineta, while Denki was carefully inspecting your hand. Dude! Shouted Denki. What? The two quickly started bickering as he slowly continued your meal, observing them. Eventually, however, they calmed down. Okay, said Denki, and sighed. Sorry about that. He looked at you expecting an answer, while you just quietly chewed. After a minute, he could no longer resist your ice-cold stare, so he looked back on the table. Why don't we introduce you to everyone? You exhaled sharply. This was annoying. The boy leaned to his left and began pointing at people that almost had finished their meal, each one accompanied with a rather flattering comment. But you noticed that whenever he pointed at a girl, it sounded more like he was complimenting their looks rather than personality or ability. When he came to a guy he had called Midoriya, you interrupted the blonde. He's some kind of pervert. She got you, said Mineta. Shut up! Denki blushed and looked back at you, scratching the back of his head. No, just... Why do you ask? You blinked and dryly replied. You have said nothing about the girls' personalities. He blinked. I did say Jiro is pretty edgy. You shrugged. Which means you don't find her attractive. The boy blew up his cheeks. Dude, said Mineta. Now, I know I'm not... He didn't notice your smile, but Mineta did. Dude, it's a lose-lose. Finally, Mineta had the guts to calm his friend down. Your smile widened. If you tell her you find Zero hot, then you establish that you're a pervert by reducing her to her looks. But if you dodge the question, well, it has the same effect. Denki blinked, eyes locked on your grin. His lips quivered. Mineta leaned into Denki and whispered into his ear. I told you women are evil. Now you scoffed. You have some nerves. Your tone was playfully devilish. You barge into my meal and just start being all buddy-buddy with someone you never talk to, and then flaunt over the other girls. Senpai, it's not that, said Mineta, sweat beginning to form on his forehead. It's just... The purple boy blushed hard. We are losers, said Denki, finishing his sentence. So? We wanted at least, like, you know, make one girl attracted to you? The both nodded in unison. And what makes you think I'd go for any of you two? They didn't answer, and you chuckled condescendingly. Are you calling me a loser? Both went silent, until Mineta took control of the conversation again. Yes. You blinked. Well, during lunch break, I check out every tick, and I saw you always alone. You leaned so you could look at the purple-haired boy, while still making out the blonde in the peripheral vision. What you could see in his face was pure jealousy as you gave the goblin all your attention. I just think we losers gotta stick together, he stuttered, as he somehow managed to resist your glaring. In fact, he enjoyed it a little. Hey, interjected Denki. You turned to face him, but he immediately made a flustered noise. So, like... I get it, you said softly. You want me to take part in your little activities as the token girl?
Well, actually,
Squeaked Mineta and paused.
we thought...
Oh, a girlfriend. You finished.
Yeah,
said Denki. So why me? Do you think I have low standards? Both shook their heads with a panicked expression. Honestly, both boys thought by now you'd throw water in their face and walk away. And that thought did occur to you. You could use that as a way to get the attention of the more popular students. However, once you had begun toying with these two losers, you enjoyed it way too much. The other male students were bores anyways.
please hang out with us,
begged Mineta, more out of reflex from the long silence than anything else. You shrugged. Fine. Both boys' eyes widened. But only as long as you amuse me. Mineta gulped, while Denki grinned. And you better amuse me good, because you scoffed. If I let myself be seen with you two, you should make it worth the social stigma. Both nodded excitedly. You scratched your chin. You can actually start now, you said, and got up from your chair. You took 2 steps forward and sensually whispered into Denki's ear. When I leave through that door, I want you to start a food fight. If neither of you get in trouble, meet me on the roof. The blonde blushed and stared at his mashed potatoes that he had barely touched so far. If you don't, this never happened. And the next time either of you talks to me, you licked your lips audibly. I'll report you to the principal. Just frame someone, and nothing will happen to you. Later on the rooftop of UA, you were lazily lying on a bench, enjoying the cool autumn breeze. A light metallic smell of an upcoming thunderstorm had picked up. You closed your eyes, smiling, as you heard footsteps approach. Lifting your head, you looked at the 2 boys that just entered the fenced-in area. You laughed seeing them. Kaminari's head was completely covered in slop that slowly dripped on the ground, while Mineta just looked like someone shoved his head on a plate of sushi. The gremlin, though, was surprisingly clean otherwise. Both boys were shivering. Denki out of guilt, but Mineta with pure adrenaline. Why did you make us do that? Muttered Kaminari. Wait, you snapped back. Who did you frame? The blonde blinked. A guy from our class, Baku. I don't care who. You said and giggled with excitement. I just wanted to know that you framed someone so you don't get in trouble. But why? Because. You snapped with your hand and pointed at the announcement speaker. As if on cue, a very disappointed Nezu explained that due to an incident in the cafeteria, the next class would be skipped due to the cleanup and punishment of the perpetrators. The 2 boys looked at each other. So? You crossed your arms, muttering, Our next subject in Class 2A is history. Well, tomorrow we have a little test, and usually ectoplasm holds one of these last-minute question lessons. You laughed. And that lesson would be now. You made a dramatic pose out of sheer joy. I will be held back a grade and have plenty of time to get good grades, but the idiots in my class don't. Why are you doing this? Because it's fun? Mineta shrugged.
I mean, yeah, it was.
Denki sighed, giving up his resistance. Fine, sure. But, hey, does this mean we amused you? He sounded more hopeful and submissive than he intended.
Yes, you have amused me quite well.
You chuckled.
You two will be very nice toys for me.
And thus, you had become the queen of losers.
One more thing,
you said.
When we graduate,
the one who amused me the most out of you two,
I'll have pity sex with.
Both boys blushed hard and looked at each other, their determination awoken. Well then, said Denki, and with narrowed eyes his friend replied,
Let's go.